Hello, this is Janessa Keller from Just One More Thing. Today I'm going to be talking to you about how to make the elongated caliper cable that you see here in this little shawl sample. It's a really neat stitch that adds kind of a fun look to the spine of the shawl that I use it in. It looks a little difficult when you see it in the chart, and it may seem a little confusing the first time you read through it in the instructions, but it's actually a really simple stitch, and I'm going to show you how to work it today. So this particular elongated caliper cable is worked over 8 stitches, and it's a 4-row repeat. That means on every right side row, we're going to either be creating an elongated knit stitch, or we're going to be cabling that elongated knit stitch that we created. So every right side row, you're going to be working with one or the other, and it becomes really easy to kind of figure out which row of this cable repeat you're on because of that. So this one is actually a really easy stitch to memorize. For this little sample, I've got 2 kind of selvage stitches on either end. So we're really just going to be paying attention to these 8 stitches in the middle, but just to kind of help it keep flat, I've got some selvage stitches there for demonstration purposes. For the first row, let me just knit these 2 selvage stitches out of the way. We need to create an elongated knit stitch, and you do that simply by yarning over 4 times. You can see there, 1, 2, 3, 4. Because that's created a stitch and we're not trying to increase while doing this, we're going to knit 2 together. And doing this right-handed is always a little tricky for me. I'm normally a left-handed knitter. Thankfully for you, that means when I'm demonstrating right-handed, I do things really slow so you can follow along. Okay, so we've knit 2 together, and then we just knit across the rest of this row. Now on the back side of row 2, we're going to purl across until we get to that elongated stitch, and then we're going to slip that elongated stitch. We're not going to actually work it. So right here, we're just going to purl 7. And we slip all 4 of those wraps. These are just my 2 selvage stitches. Now, back on the right side row, we see that we've already created an elongated stitch, so now it's time to cable it across. And to do that, we are just going to drop those wraps off of the needle. Now I'm working with wool yarn. If you're using something a bit more slippery or you're afraid that it might ladder down, you can always use a cable needle to hold this to the front. You can use like a removable stitch marker or something to kind of weigh that down to the front if you're worried about it. With my wool yarn, I just kind of let it hang out there until I need it, and I haven't had any problems doing that. You're going to knit the 7 stitches. And then you're going to pick this elongated stitch up. When you do this, you want to be careful that you don't twist it. It's going to kind of automatically lay where the top of the stitch is coming down and the bottom of the stitch is up. You want to make sure that when you bring it across, you're doing it like this so that it lays nice and flat when you block it. So see how that top of the stitch and bottom of the stitch, it lays nice and flat. That's how we want to pick it up. And so that we don't twist it, we're going to knit it through the back loop. You don't want to pick it up like this. That would be normal knitting. We're going to knit it through the back loop. And because it's such a big loop, it looks a little odd, but just knit it through the back part of that loop. Oops. Okay. And there you go, you've crossed that cable over. The last row of this repeat to get us back to a right side row is to simply just purl across the back. So purl all 8 stitches. And there you go. We've worked an elongated caliper cable. Now, before you block this, you're going to notice that the stitches get a little wonky. They're kind of loose. They might look like they've been twisted. They might be a little bit annoying to you at times. But rest assured that when you block this out, they will stretch out and lay nice and flat when you block it like that. So that is how you work an elongated caliper cable.